Lindsay, hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Nice to see you.
You as well. I've
Yeah.
seen you in many times, but this
Yeah,
is nice
I
and
kind of saw your channels too, a few of your videos, yeah. So you have like a
yeah.
YouTube channel.
I do.
What's it
Yeah.
about?
It's a growing journey and process to figure
Okay.
out the direction. I When I first started it, my first year I was planning on kind of hitting a lot of broad topics to then
Right.
kind of see what was hitting with people and then kind of narrowing down defining really what I wanted to focus on. So now I'm into starting year two where I am kind of in that more narrowing down phase of what I'm going to be doing more. Surprisingly, my type related videos are doing some of the best. So it's kind
Yeah.
of a good direction. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. So how long have you been into typology? Have you
Well, about a little bit over a year ago, I took what I thought was my first Myers-Briggs test. And apparently I had taken it earlier because my husband was in a master's class where he had to get someone else to take it in his family. And so he had me take it. I don't remember taking it, but I do kind of remember taking it. But I just remember like getting to the score page and they were like, the architect. And I was like, I hate math. This is dumb. And I
really?
didn't look, yeah, I didn't look into it further.
You hate
Um,
math?
yeah, don't like math. Not very good at
Interesting.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
The only kind of math I was good at was geometry, but that's because I could guess for the answers.
Are you visual or a visual person or a audio person?
Visual. Yep.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that. Okay, so you took the test for with
Yeah.
your husband's class. It was a psychology class or something?
Yeah. Well, he was in his master's was in conflict resolution and mediation, so something
Right.
related to that. So
And it was
I
like
had
an official test? Sorry.
no, it was an online test, but so
Oh,
I had taken that like 2 years ago, but then I took it myself again like a year ago. And when I actually was like ready to like look at results and like try to figure some things out, and then I actually read through it and I was like, this was the most accurate representation I've ever seen in my life ever. And then but then I kind of got into the community really quick and then it kind of turned me off because it was a lot of better than arguments
right.
of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this one. I was like, that's not why I'm here.
What type
And
did
then
you get?
INTJ when I had
Wow. All
in
right.
Myers. Yep.
So that was like that's one of the surprisingly like accurate times that it actually worked and hit home sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think what
That's
Dave had
weird.
talked to you about like with when people aren't like in the community and they're not like reading profiles and like trying to be like a certain type, it's they sometimes people get a more accurate result because they're not
Right.
trying to get anything, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I think that was the case. But then I found Dave and all of them, and I was like, okay, these people are on my level. I like this. So
Right. Nice. So did you learn psychology yourself or you were just sort of with your husband learning along and
so I didn't go to school for it. I went to school for education,
right.
but I started student teaching, and I was like, this isn't for me.
Right.
Uh, Fine. I kind of went on my own path after that. But no, I wasn't really into psychology before, but I did always see other people and be like, I wonder how their brains are understanding this concept or whatever it is, because I know that my brain was seeing something completely differently than theirs was.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was always curious. I was like, I wonder why they got to that conclusion that way and why I got to it this totally different way. And it was like it was very different. And I always was aware of that. But then, later in life, I was like, I want to understand other people better and understand how they understand things. So
So like you were really aware of your subjectivity?
I guess so. I mean, I was very aware from a young age that people didn't understand things the way that I did,
Right.
and it's just kind of like, well, that's just how it is, and I kind of, at a young age, I accepted that, like, I really didn't think people were going to understand me ever, and I was like, all right, that's fine. But it was just very different. And, but then when you get older, you're like, okay, this can be figured out and we can, understand people better. And then that can be a better communication tool later in life. So,
So you were typed by Dave and Shannon as an INTJ as well?
yep.
Yeah.
So I'm the NITE blast play sleep variety. Missing
Last
consume.
play sleep. Okay, missing consume. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that must be tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I can consume when I have to,
Right.
but as Shanna would say, I consume a lot through play. And so in my video, she said, you kind of consume like as you're punching people in the face. And I was like, that's such a true like assessment, because
Right.
it's when I have to consume, it's very like, I get in, I get the information, and I get the heck out of there, you know?
And so your NI is masculine,
It is
and then your TE is
masculine.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm really punchy on my top functions. They're both double
Yeah.
act.
A punchy blaster.
Yeah.
Do you like interrupt people and stuff or
No, I don't.
no?
I actually I prefer to wait till I have, well, I think the thing about blasting is they always say it's queued up, you know? So if
Right.
there's a conversation that's happening that's not something I want to speak on, then I'm
This is just my little guy here.
oh my gosh.
This little guy.
Hello.
Okay, now go away. He's waving. Bye. No, ani beğendim masz. Sorry about that.
No, cool.
So what were you saying?
If I'm not queued up to blast on something, then I have no problem not blasting. Because if it's like a topic that I'm not interested in or doesn't really like relate to something that I don't know that I need to speak on, then I prefer to wait. And then if it's something that is important to me, though, then I will happily blast on it.
Wait, are you good at like changing the subject to something that you want to talk about, or like not even?
I mean, if I have to, I can. But the thing is usually I don't have to, and usually I don't really want to.
Right. You're happy just doing your sleep. Or,
yeah, I'm happy.
yeah.
Just the thing is too is like I'm not very like socially like inclined, I guess you'd say. So I'm not someone who's trying to go out there and like have conversations with people unless it's like for an important reason, which I think is kind of like the key aspect of it. So,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids are a bit coming in on the mic.
That's cool.
They have friends over, so. So okay. So your TE, are you aware of it as well?
Of my TE?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew that, well, there was one moment before I got checked that I was like, I wonder if I'm asleep first, because I'm very conscious of like my preserving of energy and my time, but it's very much in a hobby state now that I realize. So because I blast play so much, I'm very protective of my sleep and like my sleep like energy. So, you know, if I'm blast playing all day and like I get home, like I don't want to go out and preserve more energy. Like I want to be home and like preserve what I have because I've been blast playing all day, you know? So
right. So you'll go out and be very energetic and then come home and then relax and
yeah. And I schedule myself like pretty tightly during the day. So
right.
I'm usually like I'm out of my house by 8 and then like I come back like sometimes like 16 hours later, you know, at the end of the day.
So blast for you is like really planning as well. You're really planning your day and your time and your weeks and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my schedule overall is very, I mean, the week before I absolutely know what I'm doing every single day throughout the week.
Wow.
And then like on a monthly basis overall I have a really good idea of like where my time is going to be spent, like on what days. But yeah, planning is like, otherwise I just can't survive.
Right. And changing your plans, does that happen, or it's like no, masculine and I don't change?
So I try to be better at that. That's
yeah.
like a struggle for me. Because my husband, who is feminine NE, he's way more go with the flow. Like he can
right.
just kind of like, okay, yeah, like plans shifted. That's cool. We'll go this way. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Maybe I want to do it again now. And I'm just like, like
also an EP, right? So
yes,
yeah.
Also EP. So that's can be it's just not the way like my brain works. So so usually it's like, okay, in the beginning of the day, if I knew I'm doing something at the end of the day, I've planned all the things in front of it to kind of coincide so that it all goes well to that ending point, you know? And so then if all of a sudden one of those parts changes, I'm like, okay, well now I have to restructure everything. So now it still goes well, but now this like wrench was like thrown into it. And that's just like, okay, so now I have to reorganize everything, which I do because it's like in a savior state. But then that's also why I'm like more pushy with like, I don't want the plan to change because it's right now gonna work out perfect, you know? So can we just keep it
Yeah,
this?
I saw this video with you and him talking, and like the way you treat him is like he's this zoo animal that's just fascinating, and you just like to watch him do weird stuff. He's like it doesn't make sense to you. Yeah,
No, it
it's
doesn't.
really
It doesn't
funny.
now. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. And
Cool.
he's blast last. So our first and last animals are
Oh
opposite.
wow.
Blast first, consume last, and he's consume first, blast last. And he's learned more about the class from hearing me talk about it, and also getting type through Dave and Shan.
Right.
And so it's funny because whenever he hasn't like been productive in a day, he'll just be like, I haven't blasted today, Lindsay. It's not been a good blast day. And then I'll be like, are you ready to go? He's like, I'm not ready to blast yet. So it's really,
Right.
yeah.
And so okay, so you have an FI. Are you like how does that influence you? Does it
I have a what?
F FI
Yes,
introverted
FI.
feeling? Yeah. Yeah,
FI.
yeah.
Yeah, so my FI is actually unactivated.
Oh,
So
it's not. Oh, yeah. Wow.
yeah, so
Interesting.
my SE is single activated, and then my FI is just chilling, feminine FI. And it's interesting because like I do see that like my identity is kind of like more movable in terms of, all right, do I have to be this certain way around these certain people? Is that what's going to masculine TE work for them better? You know, and okay,
Right.
fine. You know, I can kind of go, I'm way more movable that way than I am with my NI. So it's interesting to kind of see that. I've seen that more play out recently. Okay, this is what works for these people. All right, I can do that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You've doubled down on your activation for your saviors. They're both masculine.
Mhm.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So your unactivated demons are both feminine. What's that like?
It's I feel like my journey of learning really what they're like has really happened since I got typed that way. And
Right.
because I'm focusing on it more, I'm like, okay, so what, okay, we know what feminine SE kind of looks like for a savior or demon state, but what does it really look like in a demon state?
Right.
And figuring that out for myself and slowly getting the revelations of, oh, that's what it looks like. Like feminine demon SE is crazy. Like it's
Right.
just I will, and I was saying this in something else, but it's like it will push off disrespecting the sensory for as long as it can. So someone with like a masculine SE demon, they'll like bang into it, get angry at it, and then deal with it,
Right.
right? But
They'll
like,
smash things. They'll break things around them.
yeah,
Yeah.
they'll toss it around. Okay, I have to deal with it then. But then feminine demon SE is like you kind of walk into the problem and then you're just like, I still don't really want to respect this yet. And you just kind of disrespect it for as long as you can until you're like, okay, well now I just have to deal with it. But it's kind of crazy that way.
Do you have like an example that you can give?
Yeah, like I was like over the holidays I had gotten sick, but I had gotten sick to the point where I really needed to go to a doctor, but I had all these, like I had a show, I was in rehearsals, I had my day job, like I just had a really busy packed schedule. And I was like, I really like should like go to a doctor, but like I'm just gonna put this off for as long as I can. And like it got to the point where like the day before I had this really big performance, I was like scrounging around for like my husband's, like he had some like antibiotics from when he got a tooth surgery like a while ago. And I was like, I need these antibiotics now. Otherwise I'm going to be like in the ER tomorrow and I need to be in this rehearsal today and then perform tomorrow. And it
Wow.
was like, I really needed to like deal with the situation earlier, but I had all these other parts and I knew how long I could push it. But then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, now I really need to deal with this. And I don't have time to. So things like that, where it's like, yeah, it's like you could have died, Lindsay, but it was like, no, I'm just gonna kind of go right up to the edge as long as I can.
Right.
So that's kind of crazy.
So your performance is like acrobatics. It's with a troupe or something.
So not so much a troupe, but I perform like solo a lot, and sometimes I do duos, but it's on the aerial silks, which are like the
Right.
fabrics.
So how does that work with your SE? Like
Yeah, so it's like they say it's like hobby SE, which is what I have basically because I have it. My SE is activated from my play energy being at the top, so
right.
it's very much like a hobby. Like I had started it because I was like, I want to do something that's exercise that's not the gym. Like I just can't get down with that. So I started doing the aerial classes as like an exercise, but then I really liked the figuring out component, because all it is like in the air is patterns, and it's like you're taking patterns and like working them to get from one thing to another and not get tangled and be able to come out safely. And so it was also like a mind game in addition to being exercise, and that's why I ended up sticking with it.
Yeah, but it's like patterns with like the physical, your physical surroundings and things. Like
it is, but
yeah.
a lot of what I like about it too is that like to be able to do the things that I haven't seen other people do before. So be like, okay, if I did something with this and this, it should end up being a shape that looks like this. And so it's very like, I don't know, for me, it's very creative and experimental. And then also just like the exercise component of it. But there is a ton of SE related as well, but it's a very different SE than like if you were just like doing a sport. Like I did like swimming and soccer growing up, and like those were fine. But this is so much more, I don't know, the patterns go so much more in depth with aerial, because, you know, you'll be doing a move sometimes, like one move can sometimes take like 2 minutes to get through the whole process of it, you know? And so, I don't know, it's interesting.
And so do you think you're more graceful because of your feminine SE or something? Like,
I mean, maybe. I'm definitely not a shovey person in the sense. Like this is my dog Indy, but like Ben like loves like wrestle with Indy. Like they can go and like wrestle, you know, for days. And I'm just like not a wrestler, you know. I'm not a shovey sensory person. So maybe it's a little bit more graceful, but it's also a demon. So I'm also like I always like look up a lot when I'm like either talking or I'm like just in life, and I very rarely pay attention to like what's directly in front of me. So I'm like always tripping over things. Like I'm the clumsiest person in real life, and that's kind of the running joke with my friends, that like I'm falling over things, I'm tripping over things, I'm spilling things all the time. Like it's just
lucky you're not tripping in the air.
Because I'm prepared for that. Like I know that's coming, you know, like I know what moves I'm doing like three moves down the road, so I know it's coming. But in like normal life, I'm just kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting for that giant rock to be there, or like I wasn't, you know.
Wow, that's crazy. So okay, so how are you aware of your FI, even though it's single activated? It's still like your third function, right? So like, does it influence your values? Does it influence, like, what does it do?
I'm very much a double decider. Like I see that
Okay,
in my life a lot. So even though sometimes I can't really pick out like, oh, that's my FI, I'll like read back comments that I've written to people on Facebook. I'm like, oh, that's so double decider to me. It's just like so dense, and like being like, well, that would be fair, but this would also be fair. And I can see both sides either way, you know?
Right.
But I'm also like, so, you know, the whole vegan thing, I think that a lot ties into my FI. I think that was the first time when I chose to be vegetarian when I was 15. I think that was the first time I really took ownership over my FI. More public settings. My parents weren't vegetarians or anything like that. And I raised this little baby duck that I took home from the school bio lab. And I was like, I just realized one day, I was like, I could never eat my pet, you know? And I was like, people eat duck all the time. And I was like, that's kind of screwed up. And so, and then I was like, well, if I had a pet like chicken, I couldn't eat my pet chicken. I was like, if I had a pet cow, I couldn't eat that either. And then I was like, I can't eat meat anymore. And I just had this like epiphany, and I was like, you know, this basically doesn't connect with my FI. This doesn't connect with my values, and I'm not going to do it anymore. Like,
so it sounds like that was like a sleep state that you were in, where you were introspecting about all this. Yeah. So like you're more aware of your FI in your sleep, because that's where it is, I guess. It's your NF region. Yeah,
I would think so. And then, you know, then I kind of put my foot on that, and then I was unwavering in that, you know, for 10 years. And then like the past like 6 years, you know, being a vegan. So, you know, I think like, but being able to like take control of it, because like when you're younger, it's like your FI is so much influenced by your parents. They're just kind of like, well, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. But that was like the first moment where I was like, no, I'm choosing to make this own like choice about my own value system, you know? And so, yeah, it was, you know, I think it was really important to me then. So
that's interesting too, because your FI is feminine, and like that you were strong enough to do that. It's interesting. Yeah.
And I think it's too, because it was like, if I maybe had a masculine FI demon, it may have like been like come out sooner or whatever, but it was like kind of everything I had observed up to that point with my NI, you know, it all kind of came together. And then I feel like my NI and my FI connect a lot on certain things. Like I'll get this big picture revelation and it'll hit me in the value system. I'm like, no, I'm not okay with that. Or yes, I am okay with that.
Right.
But it's more in like a feminine, this is so funny. He's like in this blanket right now. It's more in a feminine state of, I maybe didn't really care that much for a long time, even if I had been seeing it. But then all of a sudden, all the pieces came together, and now more cat energy. This is not happening anymore, you know, for me or whatever.
Right. That's really interesting. And so like, it's really idealistic then, your inner world, your sleep world, your identity. It's like, because it's NF. It's like, yeah, that's really interesting. So like you're like a really introspectively idealistic person, but then outwardly, yeah,
it's a really interesting combination of functions. The more I learn about it, and I feel like I'll continue to learn about it for a long time, the more I learn about it, I'm like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Sorry. So do you have any wisdom that you've learned from your functions that you want to, you know, maybe from your demons that you want to tell people about that?
Yeah, so let's see. Okay, so I mean, demon feminine sensory I think is huge with, you know, delaying the things that need to be taken care of, and taking care of them. You know, for me, it's been hard to make the decision saying I'm going to take care of this now versus I'm going to push this off longer. It's funny, I was actually talking to Jenna, who's in our class, and she had mentioned something about like her husband, like who's also an INTJ, and like he had like this problem with his tooth, and I was like, oh my gosh, you just reminded me, I really need to go to the dentist. and she was like, yeah, she was like, he had a, you know, like a tooth like rot right out of his head from like not taking care of a filling that came out. And I was like, that's what happened to me 6 months ago.
Wow.
And so like after that I was like, okay, I need to do this, you know. So like it was, and just the fact that we're like, me and her husband were like a similar type, it kind of just like hit me, and I was like, oh gosh, that could be my future. And so just being more conscious and more aware of, you know, if things need to get done, like if there's something like if I need to do maintenance on my car or like take care of some like stuff on my computer to like make it function better, like just to take care of it then versus just being like, I have more important things to do, you know?
Right.
So that's been a learning process. And the thing is once I do it, it's fine. It's more the idea of like, I have to do it that is harder in a way. Just because I'm like, I don't want to, I think people with NI are very time conscious. And I've talked with a few people about this. But the thing you see with people who have Savior NI, especially first, is this like hyper awareness of time and how long things take. You know, it's like your brain is like blocking out, you know, I'm going to be doing this. It should take about an hour and a half, you know, approximately, right?
That's interesting. Yeah, because like I would think you'd be disconnected from time and the SE and the outside world as an NI, but you're no. Okay.
No, because it's time on a greater construct, like it's on a greater scale, right? So I'm not like, I don't schedule like for these 30 minutes, I'm going to be doing exactly this thing. For the next, from an hour to this thing, I'm going to be doing exactly this. That's not how, like, that's more SI.
Right.
And I plans more like, I have these blocks of time that exist and they should be about, I should be allotting about this much time to this thing. I should be allotting this much to this. And then those blocks can be interchanged, you know, throughout the week or throughout the month or whatever. But it's this, and then that's why I get annoyed too when like something like doesn't happen the right way in my masculine NI vision, because then I'm like, oh, okay, now everything needs to be rearranged, right?
Right. Cool.
But yeah, so where was I going back to with that? I was talking about sensory demons. Anyway, yeah.
You were like, you had some message you wanted to give forward, or that was it?
No, I was taking it back to something with sensory. That's where I had started with demon.
Yeah, demon sensory.
Yeah. I don't remember. It'll come back to me, maybe.
Okay. So do you have like things that you want to promote? You have your YouTube channel. I put it in the description. You have a class that you're teaching. What area are you in?
Yeah, so I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
I teach folks there. Yeah, at a studio called Revolution. So you
have like
great.
a website I can also put in the description too?
Yeah. I can you. Yeah, my YouTube channel. And yeah, I think like something that's really important for, I mean, I think for any type is knowing that there's other people who are like you out there.
Right.
Uh, and so I felt like for me, for like many years, I mean, I was a very introverted little kid growing up. You know, I just was okay being by myself. I didn't grow up with brothers and sisters. Like, and then like kids who I tried to like communicate with, they're just kind of like, we don't understand. Like, we don't get you, you know? And
Right.
I was okay, like I'm fine playing by myself. Like that's just like it's funny. My mom has all these pictures of me like when I was a little kid, and there's this giant tree in our backyard, and it's just like my little head in the top of the tree, and I would just be out there all day. Like that was what I would do. I would just be up in this tree. But you know, knowing that there's other people like you out there, I think is valuable for people. Like I think it would have been valuable for me when I was younger too, being like, oh, there's other people that understand like my brain things out there, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of
Cool.
now what I'm trying to like communicate through my channel, and just, you know, more understanding. And
Yeah.
I just want
Nice.
everyone to understand the things.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lindsay. It was like really awesome talking to you.
Yeah,
For
thank
sure.
you.
Yeah. So have a good one. Bye.